It's one thing if you call for regulations or you say, hey, this is happening, but she took the banner of I'm anti-crypto and I'm building an army. So right
Yeah.
away, you got the entire crypto industry, whether regardless of if they're Bitcoin maximalists or they're this maximalist, everybody's going to be on the same side here saying, no, 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 we hate you and we're going to vote your ass out. This content is brought to you by Uphold, which is a great crypto platform that I've been using since 2018. Uphold has all the top cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin, and all the altcoins. In fact, they have 260 plus cryptocurrencies on their platform. You can also trade precious metals, stable coins, and 37 fiat currencies. In addition, they are available in over 150 countries. And this platform is fully reserved. They do audits, so you can trust that your funds are safe, no commingling, no lending out your funds. If you'd like to learn more about Uphold, please visit the link in the description. Welcome to the Thinking Crypto podcast, the crypto water cooler series. This is episode 10. I have David from the Next Block YouTube channel with me today. David, happy Friday.
Yeah, man. Happy Friday. Good to be here. Excited to talk crypto and everything that's going on because, right now we're in crypto summer is what I would say, and there's a lot going on. So not a day goes by, there's not something, a big headline, something crazy happening. So a lot to talk about for sure.
Yeah, it's never a dull day in crypto, man. And yesterday we got huge news that Reddit, the social media platform and giant, they bought Bitcoin and Ethereum with their excess cash reserves. They also are accepting Matic, Polygon Matic, which is incredible. Another major company adding crypto to their balance sheet. What are your thoughts on that?
I was reading through the article, and also Reddit is looking to go public, right? IPO, and there's a lot of talk there, which has, and I think in the article I found it said the last social media platform to go live or IPO was Pinterest, and so I kind of went back and did a little research on Pinterest and just its chart, and it's still up from where it IPO'd, but it had a big run, once it, after it IPO'd, ran up to from 20 to 90 or $100 per share, and then it obviously had a pretty big drop back down. And I think they're definitely trying to position themselves to reap the benefits, right, of the successful platform that it is. And I think aligning with crypto and starting to hold Bitcoin, starting to hold Ethereum and use it. I think it's also just to kind of play into that hype, right, and
Sure.
generate some of that buzz. I don't know if maybe that's part of their reasoning, they want to IPO and they want to make sure they get some of their crypto native users who to get excited about the stock price or the stock that they're gonna eventually release. But yeah, it's bullish because Reddit, like you said, it's one of the larger social media platforms that are out there, and we know Twitter, X, it's obviously gonna, with Elon Musk and everything, is going to have more things within the crypto realm using, base payments and stuff like that. So it's exciting for sure. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, no, I agree with you that there is a bit of playing to the market, right? To ramp
Hmm.
up noise and get attention, especially from the crypto industry, because there are a lot of crypto users on Reddit. There's tons of
Yeah.
subreddits for crypto projects and tokens and businesses. Look, I even have one for the podcast on there. So there's an active community. Obviously, crypto Twitter is the biggest, but there's an active community there. In addition, I think it makes sense for every business right now who are educated about it to go after MicroStrategy's playbook. We're entering into the next bull market cycle. Put it on your balance sheet, and look, you can cash it out when in the euphoria phase, just like an average investor, right? And they can
Yeah.
make a nice return versus keeping those cash reserves and it's getting debased, right? You're not getting much from it. Put it in Bitcoin, put it in Ethereum, and you can do really well. Now, obviously, don't put your entire cash reserves. You got to diversify a bit and be smart and be safe and risk averse. But I think, for the IPO standpoint, it makes sense. And even from a fiduciary standpoint, it makes sense for Reddit.
Yeah, and just curious on your thoughts because I know, I think I've mentioned this a few times on our water cooler series here that you had a chart, back when Bitcoin was, I think, around 25, and it was kind of in that 20 to 25,000 range, showing Bitcoin running up to 50K possibly, and then maybe traversing back down to the 30s, 20K range before maybe the halving, and then having another Obviously maybe the run to new all-time highs, maybe late 2024, 2025.
Mhm.
What are your thoughts there? Are you still leaning towards that thesis, or do you really think that with where Bitcoin's at now, that and the halving obviously being close, that we could see it continue to run into the halving, maybe even hit new all-time highs sooner, before the halving or something like that? What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, look, anything is possible. And I always tell people, like, sure, Bitcoin could run up to new all-time highs by the halving, but is it highly probable,
Yeah.
right? It's not a matter of is it possible or impossible. It's possible, but I don't think it's highly probable. And I'm going off of historical movements. Now, we know markets don't repeat, but they do rhyme, right?
Yeah.
We have to look at the correlation with global liquidity in the stock market because that is factual, that is data. And the stock market looks like it's pulling back a little bit. And could we see some sort of correction? Sure, but I think it's a healthy correction. I'm not
Mhm.
talking end of the world, COVID crash, or anything
Yeah.
like that. Just a healthy correction to build support levels, and then it moves sideways, consolidates, then bounces. That's what I'm anticipating. I think that's more realistic and what we've seen historically. And look, if it does go to new all-time highs by the halving, I am super happy about that. I always tell people I'm not a bear, I'm actually a perma bull, but I want to be realistic. I don't want to
Yeah.
be going off my emotions and hopes and dreams. I got to at least validate what I think with the charts and what's happening in the macro, right? And what the Fed is going to do. So my thoughts, I think Bitcoin is going to top out pretty soon if it hasn't
Mhm.
already. Pull back to like 35, between 35 to 40K, build support levels, and then we continue moving up. And I think new all-time highs later this year, in my opinion.
Yeah, yeah, and I honestly think you're spot on. I mean, especially with like you said, it doesn't repeat exactly to a T, but it does rhyme. And we've seen I'm sure if you're on crypto Twitter or Reddit, and you're following the cryptocurrency space, that Bitcoin runs first, then you have Ethereum run, and then you have altcoin season, meme coin season, and then everything kind of is done for a while, it rotates back into cash, and then the cycle repeats itself, goes everything funnels right back into Bitcoin. And I think right now it seems like Ethereum hitting 3,000, kind of teetering around there. It seems like Ethereum is starting to see its season start to pump more, and alts, I mean, alts are popping left and right. I feel like even memes, we've had kind of like, it's kind of an intermittent though with Solana having its like meme coin season, and obviously Avalanche kind of having a taste of that as well. But yeah, I definitely think new all-time highs for Bitcoin later this year. And the entire, I'm a perma bull as well. Obviously though, you got to be realistic and know that they're a 30% correction. I think the last you know Bitcoin bull run had like three or four 30% size corrections in that run up. So you really have to, if you're in super big profits, take some off the table. I know I took some profits on Rndr, which is a huge play in the AI side, and it got the Solana hype as well. And Nvidia, it
Oh
just
my
keeps
God.
printing. I mean, if you're holding Nvidia stock, I don't know, you should
Crazy.
probably be taking some profits,
Yeah.
because it's. I just saw a tweet yesterday that showed Nvidia is literally its valuation is more than the entire like Hong Kong, stock exchange market cap, and even bigger than India and a couple others put
That's wild.
together. When you put in like Meta and Nvidia, Google, right, the FANG, the big tech stocks, it's like the valuations. It's almost it's at some point you're like, is it gonna just consume everything, right? And but that also does make me leery on like the crash that's probably coming.
Right.
But I'm enjoying the ride of that, and my render bags have been pumping like crazy, and I hope it continues to run with Nvidia.
Yeah, to your point, the AI tokens, like I took profits on Fetch
Mm,
AI. I was up,
yep.
I tweeted about it this morning. I was up like 536% on Fetch, and I took some on Render as well. So my plan is to, once the correction happens, buy back in,
Yep.
take some of those profits and buy back in and get ready for new all-time highs later this year as well as 2025. But to your point, like the market and these prices can't keep running up in a straight line. That's not sustainable. And
No.
unfortunately, the average Joe and Jane, they're not educated by that. They see a pump and that's when they enter in. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, many times it's right at the top and then boom, they get wrecked.
Yeah. And even then it's like when you have a winner, it's hard to even want to sell it. You just kind of want to keep adding on to it. But that's also how you can kind of get wrecked because then, then if it starts to fall down, you start to second guess yourself, you start to sell, and then then news pops out, positive news, and then it runs back up, and then you're chasing the pump again. So you really do have to have those convictions and those plays. My buy or my spot for Rndr taking profit was $8 to $10. I think it got like to 790 something. So obviously, we're right there starting to take profits. But I know there are permables on Twitter that are or on X that are saying 50, 500, $100, maybe, I don't know, but I'm not willing
Not right
to,
now.
no, not right now. Like
Yeah.
maybe later this year when the blow off top happens, but for right now, those are huge gains, especially I was buying Rndr at $1.30. So, $1.30 to where it's at now, that's a lot. That's a couple X's right there.
Yeah, and that's why it's so important to educate yourself and not just see tweets and people hyping things up. Because look, don't get me wrong, my first go around in the crypto market, I was paying attention to that. People are like, "Oh, this coin is going to boom and this and that," and it's like, "Oh, I better go buy it now."
You're
But I had
right.
no concept of where we're at in the market cycle, how to read the charts, looking at Fibonacci models and technical analysis and so forth. Now I know better, and this is where when I see coins like this are running up, I'm like, okay, it's hitting maybe a rejection zone, take profits, let it crash down, buy back in, run up again, take profits,
Yeah.
right? Rinse and repeat. And you can, people are always looking for, or I should say, they have the lottery mindset. I need to make $1 million winning the lottery, right? When you're investing, you can't have that mindset because not everyone is going to walk away with millions of dollars, but you may walk away with tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands, and you can, build that treasure chest or war chest that you can continue to invest, which can grow the portfolio to millions.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, people are not conditioned to, to do
Yeah,
that.
and I'll say this: I feel like the crypto market, especially if you've been in the past few years, has really warped people's minds. It's warped my mind. I have to continue like try to get myself out of this thought process that a double or a triple in a short amount of time is normal. Like
Right.
that, and that's just the thing that the crypto, because of how volatile it is, and you have people flexing that they got 100x or 1,000x, or they put in $16 and they made 200,000. That that's what everyone expects. They expect when I buy this, I'm not going to sell it until it makes me, super wealthy and a millionaire. And it's like, but if you really think about it, if you're able to, in the just my few years, I've had many coins I bought that have doubled in price. And it's like if you can string together enough of those, you can make $1 million over 10,
Yes.
15 trades, but you have to be willing to sell when it doubles.
Right.
Wait, even if it keeps running, wait for another good opportunity to buy back in and then ride it up again.
Absolutely. And that's the way to do it. Unless you're a hedge fund that has a starting with $1 million,
Yeah.
it's not really possible. Those hedge funds usually have like tens of 20s of analysts running charts all day and making micro trades and macro trades. None of us, if we have day jobs and so forth, we can't do that. But
Yeah,
you
my
know,
son doesn't allow me to focus as much as I would. I
exactly.
mean, I literally even I sold yesterday. It was a very small market cap project building on base, and I was trying to flirting around with some speculation, and I sold it. Had to go take care of him and do some things. Come back, a tweet had dropped that literally pumped the price like 80 90%. I was like, you know what, that's the nature of the beast, right? You walk away from your screen for an hour and things anything can happen.
As long as you're walking with your money, you're winning,
Yeah.
right? And that's the mindset people have to have a foundational. I'm walking away with a reasonable profit. I've won.
Yeah.
And you got to not think about the lottery, not have the lottery mindset, which I'm going to play these numbers and I hope I win the mega millions, right? No, that's not what this is, right? This is investing and you got to learn the principles and so forth. All right, let's talk about some big things happening in crypto from a political standpoint. We got attorney John Deaton going against Elizabeth Warren. She's scared, scrambling, sending out emails. Donate to me, please. John Deaton is running against me. And we know John, of course, was fighting on behalf of a lot of XRP holders. He has also participated in other lawsuits within the crypto industry. I think this is great. I think John has a good chance. And in any other political cycle, I would say he wouldn't have a chance. But because Democrats are in a bad place right now with Biden and the economy and all the things, the macro headwinds that Democrats are facing. I think John stands a strong chance.
Yeah, and I obviously, I'm not a huge political person. I don't follow everything as close, but I do know this. Like you said, Biden, a lot of Democrats, a lot of Biden's administration has, not had has had better days to say the least. And so, yeah, and obviously, if you're in crypto, Elizabeth Warren's stance and her attacks and how she's tried to stall and slow crypto adoption in the United States. So seeing Deaton's run against her is bullish. I hope he can win. I hope we can get younger people in, more younger thoughts and ideas into the political sphere, and that can have a good influence. And I'm all for it, and I definitely think he has a shot. I really hope to see more crypto pro advocates, getting elected this year as we go through a lot of election cycles. Obviously, you have the presidential election cycle, and it does seem like more Republicans are kind of leaning into that, and they know that like, hey, having a pro crypto stance, or at least maybe even neutral to pro crypto
Right.
stance, is probably better than what the current administration has, with a lot of Democrats being very negative towards crypto and crypto adoption.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think Elizabeth Warren, I think she took the wrong bet here. It's one thing if you call for regulations or you say, hey, this is happening, but she took the banner of, I'm anti-crypto and I'm building an army. So right
Yeah.
away, you got the entire crypto industry, whether regardless of if they're Bitcoin maximalists or they're this maximalist, everybody's going to be on the same side here saying, no, 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 we hate you and we're going to vote your ass out. And then I think just this week we saw Coinbase, A16Z, the Winklevoss twins, and a bunch of people are donating to that super PAC that's for
Hmm.
crypto political candidates and members of Congress. So the war chest is being built by the crypto industry. And I think with Gary Gensler, who's closely tied to Elizabeth Warren, taking all these L's in court, getting scolded by the judges, all these factors don't align for Elizabeth Warren. And I think that's why she's scrambling. I think that's why all these emails are going out. She's asking for other Democrats to help her fight John Deaton. It's like John is like a political nobody.
Yeah.
He's like a regular guy, and she's that scared. So she
Yeah,
knows
I
knows
mean,
the deal.
maybe even taking a little bit from Trump's playbook, right? I mean, no one really thought Trump when he first ran for presidency, because of his, he wasn't a super big politician, but he was kind of, he had that whole vibe of, I'm on the ground, I'm one of you, right? And so that's reason, and I feel like he kind of carries that same, had a rough upbringing. I was just reading
Right.
a little bit of history on him, and just his kind of rise to where he's at now, and it's like, people can align with that. People don't align with career politicians who've been sitting there milking the system, just getting money, 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 and then, coming out and maybe attacking something that many see as, what the US should be embracing. And I'm, obviously I know that some people don't want to embrace CBDCs and some of the maybe negative aspects of crypto, but there are still a lot of good aspects of crypto that I think, with her very rough stance as building an army to attack and destroy crypto, I just think she's kind of cemented herself, and I think John definitely has the upper hand, especially with I saw your video, your short you put out, Trump kind of talking,
Yeah.
and he's softening up to crypto. There are a lot of Republicans softening up to it, and so I think this presidential election, having a pro crypto stance is gonna be a big factor, I think.
Yeah.
And honestly, I hope so, because as we see, and if we see the Biden administration not get reelected, and someone new enter into office, I think you're going to see people like Gary Gensler starting to sweat. I think you're going to see
Mhm.
a lot of the people who had a lot of control and power in the Biden administration really lose that, and that could, like you said, after the elections, end of year next year, that could be the reason why crypto takes off and we see new all-time highs, and crypto adoption spread in the US, is because new people are in, new money's in, new control, new power, and they get to push their own agenda.
Yeah, and it's just going to add confidence to investors in the market, right? That you have someone pro crypto. And to your point, with political candidates, we saw Vivek Ramaswamy, Ron DeSantis, RFK Jr., who's now an independent, leaving the Democrats. They were all pandering to the crypto industry. They were all putting
Mhm.
out the, hey, I support crypto regulations, yada yada. And we just see the tone changing. And then the interview with Donald Trump, I know some people are trying to say, oh, well, he didn't say he supports Bitcoin, but he didn't say he's against it. And that's the
Yeah.
tone shift. Because I put it in my newsletter today that in 2019, I put the tweet. He was like, I'm against Bitcoin and crypto and blah, blah, blah. It was a harsh stance. Now it's like, I see people are accepting it and I'm fine either way, right? It's
Yeah.
a softer tone. So it's almost like he's moved from against to neutral. And we could see potentially, like you were saying, as we get closer to the election cycle or deeper in the election cycle, maybe he says, hey, I'm ready to support crypto currency in the United States with regulations, right?
Yeah.
And we could see that. I honestly think so because Vivek is now in his camp, and Vivek was a guy who was very educated and spoke well about crypto and understood the dynamics of it. So it's interesting times, man.
Yeah.
And plus you got a couple bills in the House and a couple bills in the Senate. Patrick McKenney trying to push that through. So there's a lot of things aligned here moving in the same direction towards crypto.
Yeah, and like I've said, I've told many of my friends this too. It's just like when you look at the political landscape right now with where crypto's at, I feel like if you don't have one, you have to have an opinion on crypto, but I just feel like if it's not pro crypto in some form or fashion, it's going to be a tough uphill battle for you just because I feel like that's where the innovation is. Like that's where the excitement is right now, especially, as Bitcoin's taking center stage with the ETF news and all that stuff. Like, a lot of my friends are starting to, again, ask about Bitcoin, start to get interested. Some of them are buying, some of them are not, but I don't know. I think it's going to be a hot topic for voters coming this election. And, let's be honest, all politicians are paid, are kind of,
Mhm.
yes, they have their own opinions, but you can literally just look at Biden, look at Trump, look at any of them and go back, 10, 15 years ago and see
Right.
what their political stance was. Probably completely different, right? They will change when the money changes. And what is the largest asset managers, BlackRock, Fidelity, all these guys are into Bitcoin. So of course, if that's where all the money's at, then that's where the politicians are going to be.
Absolutely. I was just about to say that it's about the money. And on those Wall Street companies, like you said, they make campaign donations.
Yeah.
So BlackRock, who's talking about tokenization, who's supporting USDC and custodying their reserves, who's launched a Bitcoin spot ETF, are they going to go vote or provide campaign donations to someone who's anti-Bitcoin, anti-crypto, which would hurt their bottom line?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah,
Right?
especially when
Yeah.
Bitcoin is going to continue, it's going to hit new all-time highs. Like the halving's going to happen. There's going to be a shock in supply. The demand is going to go through the roof, and that's when you're going to see everybody, needing to have that pro crypto and pro Bitcoin stance because right now Bitcoin's a better money than or better store of value than most anything else that's out there.
Yeah, absolutely. Now let's talk about related to Elizabeth Warren and Gary Gensler. We're seeing the crypto industry going on the offensive. I'm so happy to see this, man, because I think people are taking the gloves off. They're not afraid of the Gary Gensler and the SEC because they're like, look, he's going to come after everybody anyway. So we might as well go on the offensive and tie him up in litigation, put the
Yeah.
bad optics on him because you had Kraken Exchange yesterday file a lawsuit for a dismissal of the case against them. And then LEJILEX, I actually haven't heard about them before this news. They're based out of Texas and they
Hmm.
were a startup crypto exchange. They joined with the Crypto Freedom Alliance of Texas and filed a lawsuit against the SEC. Same thing. Tell us what the rules are and tell us that you're not going to sue us if we launch our crypto trading platform.
Yeah, because they've said that they're going to list, certain cryptos that have been deemed possible securities in past, SEC filings and SEC statements. And, I don't know. It's funny too. I think that the exchange name that they were going to be going with was going to be like the Legit Exchange, which I thought was kind of funny. Just thinking about like
Right.
you have to call your exchange legit.
Like,
That's I don't know. That's kind of funny, but yeah, and you're going to see more and more of this, people going on the offensive to attack what the SEC is saying, what Gary Gensler is saying, because they realize that Gary Gensler has backed himself into a corner that he can't get out of. And that's what I'm
mhm.
saying. Like, I think especially if we see, a Republican or independent, if someone else can win presidency and it not be this current administration, I think you're going to see out with the old guard, in with a new guard. You're going to see new people popping up left and right that are going to have different views, probably a more open stance for crypto. And so, yeah, they're going to get beaten and badgered all throughout this year because they've not been clear, right? I mean, maybe you could say Gensler's been clear that he doesn't think Bitcoin is a security, but just look at every single interview when he's talking about Ethereum and anything else, and he can't. And I think that's just because the people that are paying him to be very ambiguous and just very confusing and not laying out the rules, because he says the rules are there, they say where. So
yeah, and oh, sorry, go ahead.
no, I was just going to make a fun pun. You were saying that they're taking the gloves off, and it just made me think that, there's somebody else in the crypto space who's taken or putting the gloves on to go to bat for us, and that's BitBoy. He's put the gloves on. He's going to be fighting tonight at 7 p.m. So that I gotta tune into that and see a crypto influencer try boxing. I don't know. I feel like the stage.
Who's he fighting again?
Some other like crypto YouTuber. I don't even know who it is.
Is it
like
Crypto
at this
Crow or something like that?
Yeah, I think so. They're in like Mexico City. I don't even know if it's like boxing or MMA. I have no idea, but like that's the stage. Like that alone should tell you where we're at in crypto. Is when
Local top.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's got to be today. Today has got to be something monumentous if we have literally like crypto influencers stepping in the ring to fight and box it out. But that was just a funny quip when made me think of it.
I think a lot of people would like to get in the ring with BitBoy Ben Armstrong. He's made a lot of enemies and they would want to beat him up.
Yeah, I definitely seeing him march up there. I'm like, there's no way this fight lasts more than 3 minutes. Like someone's gonna get, even if it's just like an accidental knockout, like someone's gonna get knocked out very quick.
If it is Crypto Crow, because I don't know, he's a huge dude, like pretty big.
Yeah, he was taller. He was definitely taller than BitBoy. Obviously, BitBoy's maybe a little bit more stout, but yeah, I'm sure his reach is going to play into I don't know. Like as long the only thing that better not come out of this better not be the rise of the next like Logan Paul or whatever, where BitBoy somehow gets a knockout and then he starts to challenge big fighters and somehow win. Oh my gosh, if that happens, then then we're living in a matrix for real.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Let's talk about Avalanche AVAX because the news broke today that they went down. Obviously we've seen Solana go down, and Solana has gone down like over 11 times, I think.
Yeah.
I think this is the first time Avalanche is going down, and they said it was after they released some sort of update. So I kind of give them the benefit of the doubt, but man, it just shows that we're still early and there's more fine-tuning and iterations that need to be done on these blockchains, because you can't have enterprises running on these things and then your blockchain goes down, right? But
yeah. I mean, even looking at, I've seen tons of tweets saying Ethereum still expensive. I have been experimenting with Base and Optimism, and yeah, there's tons of NFTs that I've been able to buy and trade, and tokens I've been able to swap on Base, and I'm only paying 10 cents here, 20 cents there, maybe 5 cents, 7 cents is low. And yeah, it's way easier, but people who are still using Ethereum's main L1, I've seen some people saying fees of 800, they're failed transactions losing, and then you go to the the newer layer ones that are supposed to be competing. Solana goes down even amid all the hype and the traction it was getting. Makes you wonder, can it continue to stay online? And it's still in beta. Then you have Avalanche just now going down, and that is to your point, that's part of decentralization, right? I mean, when an update goes through, all the the people who are securing the network and holding up the network have to update. If they don't, this is the the problem you run with a truly decentralized platforms. And then to your point of enterprise level applications being built, like that's the reason why you have to see where are these companies actually choosing. And right now, there's not many that are actually building anything, I would say, of substance in on a blockchain, because they're still waiting, right? And they're still experimenting and testing. I mean, obviously you have some businesses that have done NFT drops. You have Starbucks and Nike that have dabbled in things here and there, but nothing truly like wow, to really wow you and say like, this is it. Obviously, I'm a huge, believer still in Algorand, and I've loved it. And there's been many things from real estate to NFT airline tickets to other things that have built, on the chain and they say every single time, I've interviewed them on our podcast, I ask them, why did you choose Algorand? And, they would say it's because it's one of the, blockchains that is ready for enterprise level solutions. But many people in the Ethereum and other chains out there would say, well, Algorand's not decentralized enough, right? It's too
Mhm.
centralized, and obviously they're making moves to get towards that, but it's still a very competitive layer one race out
Right.
here and that's why I still believe we are so early because we're still seeing, the wounds and the scars and the bandages being ripped off of these blockchains and kind of, seeing what's really going on under the hood.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And the other thing I was thinking as you were saying that about decentralization, I don't even know what the perspective is or the POV of these enterprises if they care so much of something being totally decentralized like we do in crypto. And on crypto Twitter, maybe they don't really care. Maybe they prefer some centralization, right? That it's not 100% decentralized. Who
I mean,
knows,
I
right?
would I would say they definitely they want control.
Yeah.
I mean, let's be honest. If you had
Right.
a multi-billion-dollar company, you don't want to leave that. You wouldn't put that on, you wouldn't put your business on a chain like Solana right now,
Right.
knowing that hey, if it goes down, my customers, the people that are paying me and funding my business are they would have a poor user experience, so they want control. I think that's why you've seen Hedera. I don't really know intricately how much Google and Boeing and T-Mobile and all of those partners really are working with Hedera, but to an extent, Hedera is, more centralized maybe than certain others with that
Right.
governing council. But, at least even then, that's some decentralization between
Right.
at least there is a council, of big companies. It's not just one or two entities. It is many. So I think, big companies, they're going to want some control over their network. And that's why I think in the future, you're going to see, it's going to be a multi-chain future. You're going to see enterprise level things built on enterprise ready chains. And then you're going to see more degen and more DeFi and decentralized things built on decentralized change. And that's why I think you'll ultimately see a true battle of DeFi versus centralized finance. You'll have the people in the world who are controlling their own money and controlling their own wallets and doing all those things. And then you'll have the other side of the aisle that says, you know what, I'd rather use a Coinbase and use my Coinbase wallet or my Fidelity wallet or my bank's app and just be comfortable there. But nonetheless, it's all going to be on chain. It just matters on which chain.
All right, David, great set of topics. Thank you for joining me. Everyone, check out the Next Block YouTube channel. Link will be in the description as well as David's Twitter profile. David, thanks for joining, man.
Yeah, thank you, and have a good day. And to everybody out there, make sure you're taking profits if you're up big because you never know what's going to happen in the crypto markets.
Absolutely. Great advice, David. Thanks, man.